Hello dear students, welcome to online lecture series Department of Chemistry, KTHM College, Nasika. So friends, in our previous lecture, we studied the 5 important spheres of the environment. The atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, biosphere, and the last one is the anthrosphere. In fact, there are 3 important components of the environment. First one is a biotic component, second is a abiotic component, and the third component is the energy resources. In fact, the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere comprises a abiotic component of the environment. The biosphere comprises the biotic component, and the anthrosphere comprises the energy component of the environment. Actually, due to the human activities, various types of pollutants are added into the first 4 spheres of the atmosphere, that is anthrosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. And due to the perturbation by human activities, the chemical composition, various types of chemical phenomena, and various types of compositions of the first 4 spheres gets disturbed, and it results in the formation of one more sphere. We call it as a anthrosphere. In short, I would like to tell you that anthrosphere is the sphere or the region where the changes takes place due to the human activities or human interruption. So friends, in the present lecture, we will deal with the interlink between the environmental chemistry and the green chemistry. And obviously for that purpose, first of all, we have to recall the environmental chemistry, and then we will think about the green chemistry. So first of all, we will start with the environmental chemistry. So very basically the question arises, what is environmental chemistry? What is environmental chemistry? The environmental chemistry is the branch of chemistry which deals with the study of chemical phenomenon takes place in the environment. The branch of chemistry which deals with the study of chemical phenomenon takes place in the environment. Actually, the environmental chemistry is an interdisciplinary branch. It means it has a concern with chemistry, it has a concern with physics, it has a concern with geography, it has a concern with life science, and even the medical science. So, it is interdisciplinary branch of a science which is obtained by amalgamation of knowledge of chemistry, physics, geography, life science, and medical science. So friends, there are many more chemical phenomenon taking place in the environment. For example, the Minamata disease, Bhopal disaster, etc., etc. So first of all, we will focus on the various chemical phenomena taking place in the environment, or you can say the major environmental phenomenon involving chemical science. The major environmental phenomenon involving chemical science. We will discuss a few important ones. The first is several people die in Minamata disease. In Japan. Obviously, it is one of the major environmental phenomenon. The base of this incidence is a chemical science. Second is several historical marvels degrades due to the acid rain. Several historical marble stones deteriorated by acid rain. The next one is Bhopal disaster in 1984. Kills hundreds people. We have already discussed about the Bhopal disaster especially. The fourth one is several tragedies occur due to the pesticide ingestion. This is a very common one. The fifth one is Chernobyl tragedy or disaster. In USSR. So student, these are the some important highlighted environmental phenomenon behind which the chemical science is here. So we will proceed towards the present threats of the environment. Present threats. Present in the environment, three major and important threats are there. The first one is depletion of ozone layer. Second is nothing but the global warming. Next one is nothing but the eutrophication of water bodies, which enhances the growth of algae and which blocks the water bodies. And the next one is the various types of hazards by the polymers, by the plastics, etc. So the present threats, first one is depletion of ozone layer in the upper atmosphere. And greenhouse effect. In fact, the greenhouse effect is a combined effect of many more components. The second one is the eutrophication of water bodies. And as per as our discussion, the third one is hazards with plastics, pesticides, hazards due to plastics, pesticides, polymers, etc., etc. So friend, it was an account about the environmental chemistry. You just record all these things by screenshot so that we will proceed towards the environmental pollution. Environmental pollution. As part of our discussion, the presence of undesirable substance in the environment which causes harm to man and a living organism is known as environmental pollution. The presence of undesirable substance in the environment which causes harm to man and a living organism is known as environmental pollution. Actually, there are a number of sources by which the undesirable substances is added, or you can say that discharged into the environment. Depending upon the sources, the pollutants are of a different type. The basic sources of environmental pollution is categorized into the three categories. So we will talk about the sources of pollution. Sources of pollution. The first source is anthropogenic source. It involves agricultural pollution, industrial pollution, and the pollution due to the man-made activities. It involves the first one, industrial pollution, means the pollution due to the industrial activity. Second is agricultural activity. And third is man-made activities. Second is natural source. Natural source involves terrestrial and extraterrestrial activities. Extraterrestrial and the third source is the biological source. So friends, it was an account about the definition of environmental chemistry, environmental pollution, and these are the corresponding sources of pollution: anthropogenic source, natural source, and the third one is biological source. So friends, the major contribution to the pollution of environment is due to the man-made activities. With increasing population and due to the adaptation of new technologies, new methodologies, the many more pollutants are getting added into the environment day by day, and therefore the graph of pollution is rising tremendously day by day, and therefore there should be the certain commands, there should be the certain control to the water pollution, to the pollutions, and therefore now we have to discuss about the command and control approach. Command and control approach. Very basically, one thing has to keep it on our mind: the prevention is a better than cure always. The prevention is better than cure, and therefore first of all we will talk about the prevention, and then we'll talk about the method or a remedy to cure the pollution. First of all, we should prevent the pollution. Number of ways of a prevention are there. The better way to prevent the pollution is the use of a green chemistry. So my intention is that when we studied the environmental chemistry up to this point, we observe many more things, many more operations, or you can say the human activities, which contribute actively for the pollution. So obviously, we should have a certain command, certain control on our activities. So control these pollutions is done by the implementation of a green chemistry, means the green approach. Afterward, we have to learn about the green chemistry. But my intention is to tell you that the origin of a green chemistry is to prevent the environmental pollution. And even whatever the pollution occurred in the past has to cure. And therefore, in order to prevent the pollution and to cure it, a certain laws, certain rules has been passed. We call it as a Pollution Control Act. So for that purpose, Pollution Control Act was passed. So friends, it was an account about the environmental chemistry. You just record these things, you just took a screenshot, then we will proceed towards the green chemistry. Now the green chemistry. The sustainable, safe, and non-polluting practices of chemical science and manufacturing of the products, which is an eco-friendly, environmental being, and producing a non-toxic material or a zero toxic material, is known as the green chemistry. So the definition is that the sustainable, safe, and non-toxic, or you can say the non-polluting practice of a chemical science and manufacturing in a manner consuming minimum amount of energy and materials while producing little or no toxic substances. Is known as green chemistry. This is nothing but the sustainable, safe, and non-polluting practices of a chemical science and manufacturing in a manner consuming minimum amount of energy and producing little or no toxic substances. Means maximum fruitful manufacturing with low energy and low material is known as a green chemistry. Nature has given many more examples of green chemistry. For example, the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis process is a non-toxic, it is a non-polluting, it is a safe, and it runs with a low energy, and it gives a maximum profitable products with no any byproduct. Okay. Next is a respiration. It is also one of the example. So these are the certain natural processes which give an ideal example of the green chemistry. So nature has given certain example of a green chemistry, such as the photosynthesis, respiration, then biocatalyzed, reactions, enzymatic reactions, etc. Nature has provided a certain laws to fulfill the all conditions of a green chemistry. So now we will talk about the certain laws provided by nature for a better application of a green chemistry. That is for the safe environment. The first one is nature run in sunlight. Obviously, there are many more natural processes which utilizes the sun radiations. Sun provides the heat energy, radiant energy. So the natural processes run in a sunlight. This is an ideal example of green chemistry. Nature utilizes the energy which is a needful, means only required energy will be consumed by nature. So nature use only the energy it needs. The next one, nature recycle everything. Obviously recycling is there. It means that the no wastage, no byproducts. Nature recycle everything. Next one, nature rewards the cooperation. Then the fifth one is as nature bank of discovery. As far as our discussion, we should enjoy the discovery. Maybe the discovery in the species, maybe the discovery in the habitat, or many more things. Next one. Nature demands the local expertise. Very important thing. Next one. Nature tap, power of limit. And the last one, nature curbs excesses from within. So these are nothing but the laws set up by nature itself. And all these law helps to protect the environment. So student, note all these data so that we will proceed towards the main purpose of a green chemistry. Okay, we have already introduced the green chemistry, but basic question arises in our mind. What is the main purpose of a green chemistry? So we will talk about it. Main purpose of a green chemistry. The first one is the development of eco-friendly, environmentally being technologies. First one. Development of eco-friendly and environmentally being technologies. First purpose. Second one, replacement of organic solvent and minimization of waste material. Replacement of organic solvent, or you can say that we have to develop a methodology toward the solvent free reaction condition. Replacement of organic solvent and minimization of waste material. Third one is use of a renewable feedstock. Feedstock means raw material. The raw material of the synthetic methodology should be renewable so that it will never create any compromise or problem for the future generation. Use of renewable feedstock. Next is minimize the energy consumption. we are expecting that with low energy, maximum profitable product should be formed. Minimization of energy consumption. Then fifth one, use maximum eco-friendly products. Use maximum eco-friendly products. So friends, as far as our main purposes of green chemistry and as per as the definition of the green chemistry, the green chemistry is a sustainable development. It is an sustainable development. This is nothing but the development in the product formation or the process which will be the safer as far as the environment is concerned and which will never create any problem in the future generation. So we can say that the sustainability, science and technology and the green chemistry are interrelated with each other. So we can say that the green chemistry, green technology and engineering, or you can say the green engineering technology, and sustainability are interlinked with each other. We can show the interrelationship graphically also. For example, this is sustainability, then this is green engineering and technology, and the next one is green chemistry. So in this way, they are concerned with each other. They are the sides of each other. As per as the discussion, the green chemistry is a sustainable. The green chemistry is a sustainable in certain aspects. The green chemistry is sustainable in the following aspects. The first one is material. The use of eco-friendly raw material, use of a minimum raw material, and by avoiding a virgin raw material, we can achieve the green chemistry or sustainability. Use of efficient raw material, maximum recycling, use of minimum virgin raw material, makes green chemistry sustainable. Second aspect is a waste. Reducing waste as much as possible makes green chemistry sustainable. And the third aspect is the economics. Maximum product within a low cost makes green chemistry sustainable. Okay, so student, you just record these things. So friend, I hope you enjoyed the session. In this session we will stop here. In our next lecture we will continue our discussion about the green chemistry.